Get ready for the ultimate Xbox gaming experience. It's time for a special 1 hour plus marathon that will take you deep into the world of Xbox Series X and S. In this epic event, we handpicked our best videos with millions of views, and we're bringing you an unforgettable showcase filled with excitement, surprises, and mind-blowing discoveries. Get ready to unlock the secrets of the Xbox Series X and S. And of course, get to know everything, from the things we love to the things we hate. Discover the amazing secrets hidden within these consoles, and find out why gamers are falling in love with Xbox. But that's not all. We'll also be diving into the reasons why you should consider Xbox as your ultimate gaming choice. Can an Xbox truly replace your gaming PC? And let's not forget to address the myths and lies surrounding the Xbox Series X and S. We'll debunk them all and separate fact from fiction, leaving no stone unturned in our quest for the truth. So, get ready for an epic journey through the world of Xbox as we take you through our Xbox Series 1 hour plus marathon special.
Superplayers.
With so many exclusives currently in development, now more than ever is a great time to enter the Xbox universe. Especially with the most powerful console right now, the Xbox Series X. And yes, while this console is not perfect by any means, it has proven its worth time and time again. So get ready, because today we're taking a look at the top 10 things we love about the Xbox Series X.
Superplayers.
Number 10. The first awesome thing that we love about the Xbox Series X is its incredible level of backwards compatibility. Microsoft really went out of their way to make their next-gen consoles work with all of the controllers and accessories that Xbox fans have likely accumulated since the launch of the Xbox One. And that single pro-consumer gesture might be enough to win many gamers over. It certainly was for us. Don't worry about buying a bunch of new controllers for couch co-op, or even spending money on rebuying games you enjoyed on your ancient black box. The Series X will work out of the box with all of your old controllers, and you can install any game from the Xbox One era, as well as a large selection of 360 and original Xbox titles with no issues at all. You'll love to see it. Number 9. Sony put in a lot of time into the PS5's design to make it cool and quiet, but the result was a pretty massive, oddly shaped tower that doesn't really fit in anywhere visually. Microsoft, on the other hand, was able to make the Series X just as powerful while being much smaller and, most importantly, dead silent. Seriously, the only way you're gonna ever hear the Series X fans kick up is if you hover your ear right over the exhaust holes on top of the console, which is something you'll never do while gaming. This ensures an ultra-high quality, completely quiet gaming experience for Xbox users. And we're in love with it. Whether you have a partner or roommates, you won't be waking them up in the middle of the night with the sound of a turbine spinning up just because you wanted to play some late-night Halo. Number 8. The Xbox Series X ships with an ultra-fast 1TB SSD by default. A terabyte isn't a small amount of storage by any means, but as games grow in size, you might find yourself running out of space fairly quickly, especially with all of the great games available on Game Pass. However, Microsoft did create a solution to those storage woes. Like the previous generation of Xbox consoles, you can hook up a backup hard drive to store your games. This method will undoubtedly be slower than the system's built-in SSD, but at least it's something. However, if you want to expand your storage while maintaining that lightning-fast speed, you can purchase a storage expansion unit for your Series X. Manufactured and sold by Seagate, this add-on for your console ensures the same blistering fast loading times while adding up to an extra 2 terabytes of storage. These are kind of expensive right now, but they are expected to decrease in price as they get easier to manufacture. Number 7. One of the experiences that have been unlocked by the power of the next-gen console is full 120Hz gaming. The games that have this option on any of the new consoles are guaranteed to be the smoothest games you've ever played, especially if you're only used to 30 or 60Hz gaming. Poor PS5 users have to make do with a paltry list of just around 30 games that support 120Hz on that system, but Series X owners have nothing to worry about in this regard. Xbox has more than 3 times that number of 120Hz compatible games with more than 90 different titles. That's a massive number, and most of those titles are already available on Game Pass. So if you have the service already, you won't need to shell out even more cash to see the full potential of the Series X. Number 6. PS5 owners are likely happy with their console and its high-tech DualSense controller. But how many games actually make use of all that thing's gadgets and gizmos anyway? For us Series X users, we much prefer the classic feel and functionality of the new Series X controller. It is only a minor evolution of the tried and true Xbox One controller, but the improvements that have been made are certainly welcome. There's now grippy textures on the handles and triggers to prevent slippage, USB-C connectivity, and a concave D-pad that feels better to use, especially if you're a fighting game player. Number 5. As we mentioned previously, the Series X runs on a super fast SSD that allows for impossibly fast loading times in addition to much faster installs on larger games. This certainly isn't an overlooked feature on either Sony or Microsoft's new consoles, but the significance of this does bear repeating. In a world and a time where everyone is so busy, sitting around waiting for games to load or patches to install cuts heavily into the time we have to just relax and enjoy ourselves. With the Series X's SSD, you won't be waiting around for very long at all, for anything. Number 4. Another one of Microsoft's pieces of programming wizardry is the Quick Resume system. This feature allows you to play a number of games and store their save states on that fast SSD. Then, at any point, you can jump back into that game no matter what you were doing, exactly where you left off. No loading, no waiting, just pick up and play wherever you exited the game previously. And from personal experience, Quick Resume works no matter what. Even if you unplug the console, move it, and start playing again somewhere else, you'll be able to jump into your Quick Resume game with no issues. It's basically magic, and definitely not something that Sony is offering on the PS5. Number 3. If you want something big and obnoxious, or something that doesn't fit into the visual design of, well, just about anything, feel free to drop a stack on a PS5. But if you want something sleek and stealthy that can melt into any entertainment cabinet, the Series X is the way to go. Yes, it is a black box, which isn't terribly interesting to look at, but the benefit of its color and the shape is that it fits in just about anywhere you place it. We love how the Series X looks, but you can really forget it's there most of the time, even when you're playing it thanks to that silent fan. Number 2. So we've mentioned Game Pass on this list a couple of times, and for good reason. Microsoft's subscription service gives players access to hundreds of different games from a plethora of Xbox generations, all for one low price. Better still, new games are added to the service all the time, while older ones are removed to make room. This includes day one launches like Starfield, which are destined to be massive games and system sellers for the Series X. Number 1. Even if you do decide to have both a PS5 and a Series X, the Xbox console is the easy choice for games that are multi-platform. For one, many third-party games show up on Game Pass at some point, but the shocking power contained within Microsoft's mini tower eats up just about anything you throw at it in terms of performance. Games like Resident Evil 8, Tales of Arise, and Far Cry 6 all look and run better on the Series X than they do on their PS5 counterpart. Even Resident Evil 8's taxing ray tracing mode shoos up the PS5 and spits it out. But the Series X manages a stable frame rate. And isn't that what all gamers want? All of the bells and whistles turned on while still being smooth as butter. And that, my friends, is what the Series X offers. And there you have it. The top 10 things that we love about the Xbox Series X. Even if you just got your Series X a little while ago, what are your favorite things about it? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you again in our next video.
Superplayers.
The Xbox Series X is definitely the most powerful console of this generation. We have played so many games, and we enjoyed every minute with it. However, this console is not perfect by any means, and there's definitely some things that we really dislike about it. Get ready, because today we are having a look at 10 things we hate about the Xbox Series X.
Superplayers.
By no means, the Xbox Series X is the worst-looking console that we've seen, but we also think the minimalistic style is definitely not for everyone. It also looks so weird when placed horizontally, and you can definitely tell this console was made to be placed vertically, so it's pretty likely that you'll need to place it on top or over a desk like a PC. This makes the console really impractical, and just finding a place to put it while keeping it well ventilated is not an easy task. Yes, the PS5 is even taller, but it's also slimmer, so it can fit in more places than the Xbox Series X. Also, the PS5 design looks much more futuristic and modern, a true eye-catcher in your living room. And while aesthetics is such a subjective matter, the Xbox Series X is objectively the worst console to find a place for. The Xbox Series X and S do not feature a USB-C port. Although the USB-C port is relatively new compared to the normal USB-A ports, many things support it nowadays, such as monitors, headphones, and SSDs. And of course, this port is also used to charge most modern-day phones. As more and more useful things have begun to support the USB-C port, many feel that it's a step backwards to not include ports for this USB type. This is an even more noticeable problem, since the PlayStation 5 does include a USB-C port. So anyone who got an Xbox Series X or S instead of a PS5 feels like they're given an outdated piece of hardware in this regard. The optical audio output port has been a staple of modern-day consoles for quite a while, because many home theater audio systems and even some studio-quality high-end headsets use it. Although it is not as overly common as it once used to be, that does not mean that a lot of people still don't have them. Not to mention that it was a great way of experiencing sound if you're playing on a monitor rather than a TV too. Also, this has been the best way to get digital audio out of your Xbox into a home theater, but unfortunately, now the Xbox Series X and S has removed the support for the optical audio output system, which has rendered those high-end sound systems useless. The user interface of a console is one of the most important things about it, since it's basically what you'll be seeing before, after, and even during the time in which you play your games. It covers everything from the official store of your console, displaying the games that you have, and pretty much everything that you can do from your console. So you'd expect the latest and most powerful console of this generation to at least do a good job at making itself visually stunning. That's precisely how the PS5 UI became such a wonderful evolution from the PS4 UI, and now the PS5 operating system looks and feels amazing. Unfortunately, the new Xbox console's UI is basically the same used on Xbox One, and features very few improvements from a visual and experience standpoint. It's like having a next-gen console that feels like a retro console. Not good. Innovation is the way to the future. While the PlayStation controller remained very similar to itself ever since the design was perfected, the Xbox controller changed quite a bit over time. However, the PlayStation 5 went above and beyond with the new DualSense gamepad by adding many unique features to it that make the gameplay feel more immersive and interactive. Meanwhile, the Xbox Series X and S gamepad is awfully similar to the Xbox One gamepad, which in turn was awfully similar to the Xbox 360 gamepad. The lack of innovation, especially compared to the DualSense, feels like such a disappointment, especially when you consider that both consoles cost around the same price. The Xbox Series consoles do not have rechargeable batteries, which means that you have to use external batteries to keep it going, unlike the PlayStation controllers, which have non-replaceable internal batteries that you can charge while you play the game. Fans have complained about this for a while, because rechargeable controllers are more convenient than using extra disposable batteries. And even if you buy rechargeable batteries yourself, it's still a hassle, because you have to spend extra money aside from what you already spent on the gamepad, and you can't play games while you take the batteries out to charge them, unless you buy several pairs of them. So yeah, while you can get around the issue, it is definitely a less convenient way to play games and a more expensive one too. There is still no VR support on this generation of Xbox consoles. VR is getting more and more mainstream, with popular and affordable options like the Meta Quest 2, and Sony has had a firm control on the VR market ever since games on PS4 started to offer it. And now the PS5 is expanding this approach even more with a new enhanced VR headset and exclusive games to support it. Yet Xbox simply does not offer it so far. And while VR may not be something that everyone necessarily needs on their console, it would certainly be a good option to have, especially when compared to the PS5. Unlike the PS5, in which you can locally buy a supported SSD and install it within your console, the Xbox Series X and S uses a proprietary expansion card that is developed by Microsoft themselves, and it's quite costly. That basically means that there is less competition on the Xbox side, and the prices hardly go down, if ever. While on the PlayStation 5, different manufacturers can compete between them and the prices go down faster. This issue is even worse on the Series S, where you can only use around 364 gigabytes of the 500 available, and the only option to expand it is to buy a storage expansion card that costs almost the same amount as the console itself. Ouch! One of the key selling points to the Xbox Series X is that it's the most powerful gaming console. However, in practice, the difference between the PS5 and the Xbox Series X is very minimal, and most of the time, almost indistinguishable. In fact, it even comes down to how certain games are optimized at the end of the day. For most games, you'll have to do a comparison side by side to find any noticeable differences, and even then, it's not so obvious. So the statement that the Xbox Series X is the most powerful console is technically true, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel like that. Ever since the Xbox One era, Microsoft has failed to keep up with the diverse and amazing exclusives that both Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 5 has to offer. And yes, Xbox does have a few good exclusive games, but compared to PlayStation 5, there is a lot of space for improvement, both in quantity and quality. Basically, all of the recent Sony exclusives have been amazing, whereas the flagship title of the console, Halo Infinite, failed to impress both longtime fans and newcomers alike. And yes, Microsoft has been investing heavily into new game studios, and even purchased Bethesda, but unfortunately, it will be years before we see these investments bring real games and real value to the customers. In the meanwhile, Sony keeps releasing game after game after game while getting excellent reviews from both fans and critics alike. We have hopes that, in the future, Xbox will have a more even playing field to compete with Sony. But in the meantime, the lack of good exclusive titles on the Xbox platform is the thing we dislike the most about the new Xbox consoles.
Superplayers.
If you have an Xbox Series X or an Xbox Series S, it is very likely that you are not getting its full potential. Precisely because these consoles do a lot of things that most people don't even know about. Therefore, in this video, we will talk about tricks you can do with the controls, how to transfer games over the network, play remotely, and show you hidden sensors in the console. In short, a lot of interesting things and awesome secrets about your new Xbox.
Superplayers.
Did you know that you can control your Xbox without even having to use your hands? It's true. You can control your console using only your voice through a digital assistant like Google Home or Amazon's Alexa. To do this, first you have to make sure that the power mode of the console is instant on. Then go to Settings, Devices and Connections, Digital Assistants, and select the option Enable Digital Assistants. Once this is done, you can now configure your device to recognize your Xbox. For example, if you are using an Amazon Digital Assistant, go to the Alexa app and install the Xbox skill, log in with your account, activate the skill, and you are ready to go. You can use commands like Alexa, tell Xbox to turn on, Alexa, turn off my Xbox, Alexa, turn down the Xbox volume, or Alexa, launch Rainbow Six Siege. A super practical tip that can be very useful on a day-to-day basis, or at least to surprise your friends. Do not tell me that you are so lazy that even controlling your Xbox by voice is not enough for you. Yes, I understand that the problem is that although you can control your console, you have to turn on the TV, and you are very lazy to use the control of your television or stop to turn it on, right? Don't worry, you can have your Xbox turn on automatically when your Xbox turns on. Go to the Power Mode and Startup setup screen and select TV and AV power options. Check the HDMI CEC box and you are ready to go. In fact, you can activate or deactivate even more specific options, such as your console turning on or off other devices, or that other devices can turn off the console, and even have your console send volume commands to your television or soundbar. A tip for people very comfortable, but at the same time very practical. One of the coolest things you can do on Xbox is that the console allows you to preload everything. All games can be preloaded. If you have all your games in digital format, this means that if you pre-order a game, you can start downloading it before it is released, and on launch day, you just have to activate it. Also, if you are waiting for a game to be on sale, you can have all its data downloaded and you can buy it to activate it when it is at the best price. But even if you are a player who still uses physical games, this tip can also be extremely useful, because physical games are less and less physical. It is common that they come with giant update downloads, or digital content, or that they simply force you to download the full game, no matter you have it on disc. There, the preload is also quite useful, since it allows you to start downloading before having the disc in your hands. To do this, just go to the Xbox app on your cell phone, select the game to download, and choose the console to which you want to download it. That way, the game will start to download and you will be ready to play it in the shortest time possible. Xbox has an option called Copilot, which links two controls so that you and another player can use them as if they were one. Go to Settings and then to Controller and choose Copilot Settings. There, you can select Turn on Copilot and select which control will be the Copilot. This was designed as an accessibility alternative for players who may be unable to use the controller normally, but it is also a way for two players to play a single-player game. In addition, it is a good option for an adult to help the little ones to enjoy games that use a more advanced control scheme. When we went from Xbox One to Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S, many people were a bit disappointed to realize that the user interface for the operating system is practically the same as the previous generation of Xbox had. This is largely due to the fact that this Xbox interface lives in constant evolution, and it really is already a modern and agile interface that has taken many iterations to get to this point. However, few people know that only in the new Xbox consoles there are what are known as dynamic themes, where you can have animated backgrounds and you can customize them to your liking. For example, you can change the animation type and the background color. Also, check out this Halo Infinite dynamic theme. Cool, right? And of course, you still have the usual classic options such as putting a photo of a background, a profile photo, changing the order of the guide, in short, modifying the interface so that your console looks how you want it to look. If you are a millionaire like me and every now and then you stumble upon one of your many Xbox that you have throughout your house, this tip can be useful to take advantage of all of your consoles. If you have more than one Xbox, either the new generation or the previous generation, you can have them communicate with each other to share the game files. For example, on the Xbox Series S, it is very common for one to have to delete games to free up space. But the downside is having to download them again, especially if you don't have good internet speed. But if you have more than one Xbox connected to the same network, either via Wi-Fi or, much better still, via a wired network, you can make your Xbox copy the information of a game downloaded to another console, in such a way that you don't have to download it online and, therefore, you will not be limited to the speed of your internet, nor will you consume its bandwidth. I do this very often when I need to reinstall a game on my Series S. I just tell it to connect to my Series X and copy it. In my case, I reach speeds of 100 megabytes per second with a wired network, but if you have a local network that supports more speed, you can make the transfer much faster still with speeds of almost 1 gigabyte per second. Wow! If you have several profiles and several controls on your console, and every time you turn on your Xbox it bothers you that they always ask you, which profile do you want to log into, there is also a tip for that. If you go to Settings, Account, and then to Sign In, Security, and Passkey, there you can activate the option This controller signs in, and then select Link Controller. In this way, you can make each person have a profile associated with their controller, and when the Xbox is turned on, it automatically knows which profile it should start in, and thus avoid that little extra step each time you turn on your console. The Series X brings 1 TB of storage and the Series S more or less half, 512 GB. But of that space, the operating system occupies a significant part, and therefore you only have about 802 GB usable for the Series X and 364 GB for the Series S, which really is not much space. But if you're running out of storage on your console, there are at least several ways to expand it. The first is with a proprietary Xbox expansion card, which at the moment is only available with 1 TB and costs around $200, which is quite a considerable amount since it is almost half or more than half of what costs the console itself. However, its performance is practically identical to that of your console, and we know that they will eventually drop in price. The good thing is that there are other cheaper ways to expand it since you can use external storage, be it a mechanical hard drive or an SSD by connecting it through the USB port to your Series X or your Xbox Series S. But you have to know a few things. The first is that your Xbox is going to format this disc so that it can use it on the console. That means it will erase all the information it has, and you will not be able to use that partition on another device, unless you reformat it. The second is that the games of the new generation Series X and Series S will not run from your external USB storage as they are too slow for the new generation, and therefore you will only be able to run games from Xbox One, Xbox 360, and the original Xbox. But, and this is the most important clarification, although you cannot run new games from your external storage, you can store them there as a backup. It means that you can download all your Series X and S games to your external storage to free up space on your Xbox, and when you need them, you can transfer them to the console's fast storage, which is always much faster than downloading it from scratch. So yes, there are definitely options to expand the storage of your Xbox Series X and your Xbox Series S. Are you bothered by those games that use extremely small text? The kind that can hardly be seen and you have to be getting closer to the screen to be able to read more or less what they say? For those cases, you can activate the magnifying glass. Hold down the Xbox button until it vibrates and press the view button. Once the view button is pressed, select yes and you're done. You can use the right stick to scroll the screen and the triggers to adjust the zoom. Very practical so as not to mistreat your eyesight and to find that camper or sniper that always hides in the distance and that you can hardly see. Why don't you tell me what this button is for? I hear ya. Okay. Normal gamers will say that this button is used to synchronize the controls to the console, which is true. However, only true super players know that this button is also an infrared sensor that the Xbox use so that universal remote controllers or more traditional TV remotes can control your Xbox. It is also used by Xbox Media Remote. Didn't you know that information, right? Starting with the Xbox One S, all Xbox One and new Xbox can use the same power cables and the same HDMI cables for video. However, only the Xbox Series X comes with an ultra-high-speed HDMI 2.1 cable capable of displaying games at 4K and 120 Hz. This makes a lot of sense. Because of all the consoles, only the Series X can reach that graphical potential. This is a very important piece of information in case you buy a Series X and you were thinking of reusing your old HDMI cable to play at super epic resolutions and speeds. You will not be able to do it. Use the cable that came with your console or another HDMI 2.1 cable that meets the necessary specifications. One of the best things about the new Xbox is that you can use your old Xbox One controllers on them. But many people do not know that the opposite can also be done. That is, you can use controllers from the new Xbox on the Xbox One. And it is that the backward compatibility of accessories is not limited only to Xbox One controls, but accessories such as driving wheels, headphones, adaptive control, etc. I recommend that you Google the official list of supported accessories to see if your device can be used in the new Xbox, but it is very likely that it will be. And speaking of controllers, did you know that only with the Xbox Series X and S controllers you can have two devices synchronized at the same time? For example, you can have your Xbox and your PC synchronized in a single control, and to switch between each one, you just have to click on the synchronization button. A super practical tip that very few people know. In this era where social networks are so important, Xbox allows you to capture images or videos from your console to share them with your friends. And now that the Xbox Series S and Series X have a dedicated button to do this, it's easier than ever to capture those special moments. Better yet, if you have the Xbox app installed on your device, you can see all the captures you have taken and download the one you like the most. You can even share it to your friends through WhatsApp, Instagram, basically any chat or social network. If you like the dark theme on your Xbox but only at night, you can activate an option to synchronize the themes with your time zone. That way, you can have the light theme during the day and the dark theme at night automatically. Very cool, huh? Another of the super practical things you can do with the Xbox app is to use it as if it were a keyboard. You only have to have it open when you need to enter text so that you can type much faster through your phone. Very useful for text chatting and searching for content. Similarly, you can simulate an Xbox controller using the on-screen buttons and be able to control your console without using a controller. But the best function of the Xbox app has to be Remote Play. With this function, you can turn any device into an Xbox. Basically, it allows you to stream from your console to your device and play all your Xbox games on a PC, tablet, or cell phone, be it Windows, Android, or iOS. Obviously, like all streaming technologies, the better your network connection, the better it will work. However, it is not the best way to play competitive games that require very fast reflexes, because you will always have some latency no matter how good your connection is. But for games like RPGs or adventure games, it works quite well. You can use the controller of your console on your device via Bluetooth as well as controllers on the screen, and you can even use your AirPods to play games and chat with your friends. What's more, there are accessories dedicated for this purpose specifically, and they make your device become kind of like a Nintendo Switch, but for Xbox. And the best of all, not only can you do this connected to the same network as your Xbox in your own home, but you can also do it from the internet. It means that with this function, you can have access to all the games on your console from anywhere in the world. Super, super epic. If you are one of the super players who loves to get as many achievements as possible to each game they put their hand on, you will be pleased to know that Xbox has a dedicated function especially for you. You just have to activate an option called Achievement Tracking. Choose its location on the screen, how many achievements you want to see at the same time, and the level of transparency that you like the most. And that's it. At all times, you will have visibility of the progress of several achievements at the same time, and thus you can be much more effective and efficient hunting all the achievements that come your way. With the change of generation of consoles, many people are unaware that all the progress you have acquired in an Xbox game remains in the cloud, tied to your account. It means that if you are playing on your Xbox and you advance a game, and then you open that same game on a Windows PC, you will be able to continue your progress in a transparent way. The same as if you played on Xbox One and went to a Series S, or even the other way around, from a Series S to an Xbox One. It always works and it does it automatically. Best of all, unlike other services such as PlayStation Plus or Nintendo Switch Online, on Xbox, you don't need to pay for the Xbox Live Gold service to always have your game saved in the cloud. So no matter what happens to your console or its storage, your progress is always secured in the Xbox Cloud. You can connect a mouse and keyboard to your Xbox Series X or Series S through its USB ports. That way, not only will you be able to navigate the console's operating system using these accessories, but there are some games that have native support for these devices. Of course, with a mouse and keyboard, it is much easier to aim than with a controller, and for this reason, competitive online games such as Fortnite or Modern Warfare offer the option of separate game lists for players who use a mouse and keyboard. Currently, the list of games that support mouse and keyboard is not that long, but it is growing little by little, making your Xbox feel more and more like a true gamer PC. Games occupy more and more space, and yet, consoles continue to have the same storage capacities as their predecessors, and in some cases, even less. And especially in Xbox exclusives, it is normal to run into games like Gears 4, Halo 5, or MCC with sizes that reach or exceed 100 gigabytes. That said, at least we have options. Did you know that some games allow you to install only the part that interests you? For example, in the MCC, you can install only the games that interest you from the collection. And you can also do something very similar by uninstalling games. For example, in extreme cases of games like Modern Warfare that weigh almost 200 gigabytes, this is super important. You can do all this not only on your console, but also in the Xbox app, and it is one of the most important tips to get the most out of the scarce storage of your new console. The new generation consoles allow you to record gameplay without a capture device connected to a PC. However, many people think that this recording is limited to 30 seconds or a couple of minutes at a maximum of 1080p. But the true super players know that the Xbox can be configured to record up to an hour of gameplay, and not only that, but the resolution of the gameplay can go up to 4K at 60 frames per second, or whatever your console supports. To do this, you just have to add an external storage and format it as NTFS. Keep in mind that your console uses this format for multimedia content, and therefore, it is a different format than the one used to record game data. In all groups where there is voice chat, there is always that person whose microphone sounds horrible, or who simply wants to attract attention by screaming, eating, or playing music. A very useful tip to deal with this situation is that now on Xbox, you can modify the individual volume for the microphone of each member of the group. That way, you can turn up the volume that you don't hear well and turn down the volume for the noisy ones. A rather funny curiosity is that from the Xbox One S. Xbox has begun to include a small image of Master Chief on their consoles as an Easter egg. The Xbox One X also had it when we saw Master Chief riding a scorpion, and now you can find it on the fan of the Series X and on the cover of the power supply in the Series S. Cool, right? The first time we saw the next-generation Xbox was at the unveiling of the Series X console, and a couple of months later saw the Series S model. However, before the official presentation of the Series S, they had shown this console months in advance. It's just that the vast majority did not realize it. If you pay attention to this interview with Phil Spencer in July, you will realize that there was a Series S on its side in this bookcase in the background, in full view of everyone, and at the same time unnoticed. This has resulted in people being very aware of what our beloved Phil Spencer has around him. And finally, for me, the best secret of all. Xbox Live Gold is the paid membership that allows you to play online games with your friends, among other benefits. On the other hand, Game Pass is another paid membership on Xbox that allows you to enjoy many games included in your subscription, something like the Netflix of video games. But there is a third subscription that combines the Gold subscription with the Game Pass subscription, called Game Pass Ultimate. This allows you to have all the Game Pass games and also to be able to play online and enjoy all the other benefits of Gold. In other words, the subscription of the true super players. Obviously, as the subscription combines two services, it is the most expensive of all. But did you know that you can exchange your Gold subscription for a Game Pass Ultimate subscription for practically free? It's true, you can buy Gold and then upgrade to Game Pass Unlimited for as little as $1. Better yet, you can use this method to convert up to 3 years of Gold to 3 years of Game Pass Ultimate, and it is totally legal. We do not know until when this promotion will be available, but as you will always need Gold to play online and we expect Game Pass to get better and better, this is definitely the best time to use this offer and the best secret of the Xbox consoles.
Superplayers.
So, you're in the market for a new next-gen console, huh? We bet you're trying to decide between the several different options available and have some questions like these. Should I buy an Xbox or a PlayStation 5? Or does it make more sense to build a gaming PC instead of just buying an Xbox console? And what about the Nintendo Switch? Get ready, because today we're going to talk about the top 10 reasons to buy a new Xbox instead of anything else in the market.
Superplayers.
One of the main reasons you may have to choose Xbox above everything else may be due to its backwards compatibility feature. Both the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S allow you to play not only all games from the Xbox One era, but also some games from the Xbox 360 and even the original Xbox. That means that if you already have a collection of Xbox games, you'll be able to play them on the new Xbox consoles at no extra charge. And not only that, some games have received free updates that make them look and play better due to an enhanced resolution, or more frames per second. It's like having a remastered version of your old games for free. PlayStation 5 is only backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games, so anything older than that won't work. On the other hand, Nintendo Switch is not backwards compatible, and instead chooses to sell your old games to you again or make you pay for a subscription service. So yeah, right now, Xbox has the best backwards compatibility, and that alone may be one of the best reasons to buy an Xbox instead of anything else. You hear everyone talk about 4K resolution these days, but maybe the best improvement for this generation has to be the improved frame rates. On the previous gen, 30 frames per second was pretty standard, and 60 frames per second was used for more competitive games. In this generation though, it's like everything has doubled, and 60 frames per second is becoming the new standard, while 120 frames per second is now used for more competitive gaming. And yes, if you game on PC, 120 frames per second may be considered kinda slow if you take into account that some games on PC go above and beyond 200 frames per second. But of course, those PCs are also really expensive. Even more if you compare it to the Xbox Series S that can go to 120 frames per second and has an MSRP of just $299. You can't even get an entry-level GPU at that price these days. Not many people know that even though Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and PlayStation 5 all support 120 frames per second games, there is a huge disparity in the number of games that support this feature between Xbox consoles and PlayStation 5. Right now, do you know how many PlayStation 5 games support 120 frames per second? About 21 games. And do you know how many Xbox games support 120 frames per second? About 90 games. That's a difference of almost 5 times compared to PlayStation 5. So yeah, if you like buttery smooth gaming, Xbox is the place to be. Even though many people criticize the fact that Xbox still uses batteries in their controller, not many people know this is actually what the Xbox community wants. From the outside, it may seem that the DualSense controller is far superior to the Xbox controller with all the technology it has inside, and that it's also able to be charged with a USB-C cable, making it far more convenient. However, the DualSense rechargeable battery is not easily replaceable, so when the battery degrades over time, as all batteries do, you may have to buy a new controller or pay someone to replace it. Xbox gives you the best of both worlds. You can have disposable batteries that will instantly give you a full charge with no downtime, or you can buy your own rechargeable batteries, or even a battery and docking station combo, so your controller will always be charged, and when the rechargeable batteries degrade, you just buy a new one and replace it yourself in a matter of seconds. So while you may argue that disposable batteries are worse for the environment, because in fact they are, Xbox gives you options that allow you to always be charged while saving money in the long term. Are you thinking of buying a gaming console even though you already have a gaming PC? That idea is not as crazy as it may seem at first. There's a lot of convenience to be had with a device dedicated solely for the purpose of gaming. A device that you can just turn on and play from your couch. So the gaming PC and gaming console combo is actually more common than you may think. Some people may argue that the PlayStation 5 or the Nintendo Switch are a much better complement to a gaming PC because of their exclusive games. However, that argument seems to ignore that you'll have to buy each game on different platforms that don't share your progress between them. Xbox is actually a better console to complement your PC because it has a feature developed specifically for this purpose called Xbox Play Anywhere. That means that if you buy an Xbox game that is Xbox Play Anywhere compatible, you don't have to buy it again on PC. And not only that, any progress that you make on the game will be synced across all your platforms. So you can start a game on your Xbox, continue playing on your mobile device with xCloud, and finish your journey on PC, and everything will be in sync. Pretty cool, huh? For many people, the killer feature that Xbox has over everything else in the market has to be Quick Resume. This feature allows you to have several games opened at the same time, so you can switch between them in a matter of seconds. And the most awesome part? You can even turn off your console, unplug it from the AC power, and when you turn everything on again, the games will continue to work in Quick Resume. Awesome! This is a great way to try a bunch of different games at the same time without having to worry too much about loading screens. And right now, this only exists on Xbox. Yes, the PlayStation 5 is so hard to find, And the ones you may have seen for sale on sites like eBay are from scalpers that resell them at about double or triple the official prices. This is also happening with graphics cards for PCs, and even Xbox is suffering from that low stock and high demand situation that skyrockets the prices. However, from time to time, it is actually a lot easier to find an Xbox for its MSRP price. So, if you pay attention, you may be able to grab an Xbox Series S for only $299. That's actually the most affordable way to hop on this new generation of gaming consoles. It may not be as powerful as a PlayStation 5, but is also much more affordable and has all the next-gen features that the Xbox Series X has, like Quick Resume, and a bunch of 120 frames per second games. And since all your games, progress, and friends are tied to your profile, you can simply buy an Xbox Series S now, and then when the prices go to normal, you can seamlessly upgrade to a Series X. So yeah, Xbox pricing is just right and is the easier way to get started on the new generation without going broke in the process. While Microsoft is known mostly for being a software company, the hardware they have created for Xbox is nothing short of amazing. The Xbox Series S is one of the smallest and power-efficient consoles to date. If you have not seen this console in person, let's just say it is really, really small. And the Series X, simply stated, is the most powerful console of this generation while being smaller than the PlayStation 5, and of course most gaming PCs. Even more surprising is just how quiet both consoles are. You can put them right beside your monitor and you will barely even hear them. If it wasn't for the light on the front of the consoles, you wouldn't even know that they are turned on. Also, Xbox controllers don't tend to have that infamous drift that both Nintendo Switch and PlayStation controllers are known for. So if low energy consumption, great build quality, no controller drift, and minimal fan noise are your thing, Xbox is definitely the way to go. There was a time when the statement "Xbox has no games" had some truth to it. But those times are long gone, and Xbox has made some huge industry-shaking investments, buying top companies like Bethesda and Activision to make sure Xbox actually has games. Even without those purchases, Xbox has been killing it recently with awesome critically acclaimed first-party exclusive titles like Flight Simulator, Psychonauts 2, Forza Horizon 5, and of course, Halo Infinite. And yes, historically, great exclusive games are precisely the strongest point for both PlayStation and Nintendo, but with big AAA games like Starfield and Fable coming exclusively to Microsoft's console, this time, Xbox will be more than ready to pull up a fight. Selling games and selling consoles is the old way the gaming industry worked. Nowadays, not even Xbox tells how many consoles they have sold. And you know why? Because now, it doesn't even matter. The new way for measuring success is with services. And when we talk about gaming services, Xbox is king. Not only did Xbox pioneer the subscription service model with Xbox Live, but it also created the Game Pass service that allows customers to pay a monthly fee and have access to hundreds of games immediately. And it has been a huge success and one of the main reasons people buy Xbox in the first place. Not only that, they also created xCloud, a service that allows you to play your games on any device with an internet connection. So yeah, when we talk about gaming services, nothing can even touch Xbox. With now more than 23 different studios making new games for Xbox, it's an exciting time to be the owner of one of these consoles. And taking into consideration that each first-party title will be released day one on Game Pass, it's an excellent way to try them all without having to buy them in the first place. And right now, this is something you can only do on Xbox. It has the hardware, the community, the games, the services, and with Phil Spencer leading the way, Xbox's future promises to be spectacular. So, if you think of what Netflix did to Blockbuster and the movie industry in general, in the gaming world, Xbox is actually, right now, the Netflix of video games, and the exciting future it has in sight is the main reason that you should buy a new Xbox instead of anything else on the market.
Superplayers.
With the current low stock and high prices situation for gaming PCs and graphics cards, more and more people are looking into other alternatives to start gaming without breaking the bank. One of those alternatives is getting a gaming console, especially an Xbox Series S due to its low price. But can you really use an Xbox as a decent gaming PC alternative? How well does it work with a keyboard and mouse? And can you actually do some real-life productivity work browsing the web or using Microsoft Office like you would on a real PC? Get ready, because today we're taking a look at how well an Xbox performs as a gaming PC replacement.
Superplayers.
Most people don't know that Xbox hardware features native keyboard and mouse support, providing increased precision and a broader range of inputs over the standard Xbox controller. Playing with a keyboard and mouse is so superior to playing with a controller that competitive games that allow crossplay between PCs and consoles often provide specific matchmaking playlists to separate both types of players. To start using your keyboard and mouse, simply connect them to any of the USB ports on the console. Both front and back ports will work. You can also use a wireless keyboard and mouse by connecting the dongle to the Xbox itself, and Razer even created an official Xbox keyboard and mouse named Razer Turret that's specifically designed for Xbox. Although really high quality and feature-packed for both Xbox and PC, it can be as expensive as the console itself, so unfortunately it's not really the best option for most people. You can navigate the Xbox operating system by using the keyboard, and the Windows key will work as the guide button on the controller. However, you won't be able to use your mouse to navigate the menus. It's really not a big deal since all of the menus were designed to work with button inputs in the first place. And when you're inside a game or an app that has mouse support, you can use your mouse as needed. Also, Xbox is the most compatible console with gaming monitors, as it supports resolutions from 1080p all the way up to 4K, including the popular 1440p option that most gaming monitors have, which, by the way, the PS5 does not. Another very important aspect to know is that both Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X support 120 frames per second games for the smoothest gaming experience. Also, more than 90 games support 120 frames per second on Xbox, while PS5 only supports around 20 games, making Xbox the best alternative platform for competitive multiplayer gaming besides a gaming PC. You can also use most headsets made for PC gaming, as long as they have an audio jack connection. Unfortunately, if you currently own a headset that uses a USB connection or a USB dongle, it will not work on Xbox unless it has the Designed for Xbox branding. So yeah, on the hardware side of things, it is not hard at all to find a cheap keyboard and mouse combo that will work with this console. And gaming monitors, generally speaking, work better on Xbox. Yes, Xbox works fine with a keyboard and mouse, works with most monitors too, and almost all headsets are compatible. But what about the software? Well, some of the biggest games on Xbox actually support this type of gaming. Games like Fortnite have full keyboard and mouse support, even in the menus, making the whole experience feel indistinguishable to a gaming PC. You can adjust your sensitivity settings and create your own bindings too, just as you would be able to on a PC. And since both Series S and Series X can run this game at 120 frames per second, the gameplay will be just as smooth. The list of games that support keyboard and mouse include big titles like Call of Duty games, Gears 5, Halo Infinite, and even Minecraft with text chat support and everything. And strategy games like Gears Tactics and flight sims like Flight Simulator also work beautifully on Xbox with keyboard and mouse. However, although the list of over 90 games is nothing to be ashamed of, it still has some space to grow, with some big titles missing like Apex, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six Siege. Also, don't trust devices that state having the ability to make every game keyboard and mouse compatible. These devices are not officially supported and since they can give an unfair advantage to a player using it, it's basically considered a form of cheating, thus making you eligible for a permanent ban. So no, don't use those. So if you're planning on gaming with a keyboard and mouse, check the complete list to see if your favorite games are supported, and then make the jump. Having in mind, of course, that a controller is always an option. Productivity. Yes, we know a bunch of games work great on Xbox using PC peripherals, but what if you need to do some real work? If you're considering having a gaming console as a PC replacement, it has to be able to do PC stuff, right? Let's say you need to do some homework. You can't do it on an Xbox, right? Well, you may actually be surprised. Xbox has an Edge browser built in with full keyboard and mouse support, and this changes everything. It means that you can Google stuff, research topics, and of course check your email. If your email provider has a web page, like most of them do, you can easily read and write emails directly from your Xbox. But not only that, since the full suite of Office 365 apps can also be used through a web browser, you can use all-time favorite apps like Word to make documents, Excel for spreadsheets, and PowerPoint for your presentations. You can view documents or send them as an attachment as you would be able to on a PC. So in that aspect, Xbox has you covered. And if you're more inclined to use Google, yes, those web apps will also work here. Even more interesting, did you know that you can connect a compatible webcam and have a video call on your Xbox? Yes, you definitely can. You can use web apps like Teams for video conference and even Discord voice chat mostly without any problem as long as you keep the tab open. Final conclusions. So, can you actually use an Xbox console as a gaming PC replacement? Well, yes, but actually no. Yes, because in a world where just the GPU costs more than one console, or in some cases, more than a few of them together, Xbox consoles are a really good value proposition. And that's just taking into consideration the graphics card. We're not even mentioning the other stuff that you have to buy besides the GPU. We are talking about the motherboard, CPU, RAM, case, power supply, keyboard and mouse, and all the things that a computer needs to actually work. That's precisely why the price tag of a budget gaming PC starts around $1,000, and then the sky's the limit. A gaming PC capable of 4K gaming will cost you anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. If you do the math, you can buy more than 10 Xbox Series S or 6 Xbox Series X for $3,000. Even better, unlike a PS5, you can, right now, actually buy an Xbox at MSRP price. So yeah, $300 for a 120 frames per second gaming machine with Game Pass is really an excellent deal in today's market, and definitely the best option if you're mainly using it for gaming, no questions about it. However, if you need a PC to do some serious work like video editing, music production, or 3D modeling, Xbox simply won't make the cut. That's because most professional workflows still depend on more traditional operating systems like Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. And yes, you can still get around some workflows using web-based tools like Visual Studio Code for programming, but even that may be a stretch for professional work. So, to wrap it up, it just depends. If you're a power user of some app that doesn't have a web version, Xbox won't replace your PC anytime soon. However, if you mostly use your PC for gaming and only sometimes need to have some light productivity work going on, like doing some homework, checking your email, or working documents on Office or Google Docs, you may actually be able to buy a gaming console instead of a gaming PC, and still get all of that functionality that you need. So there you have it. Would an Xbox be able to replace your computer? What's the main use you have for a PC? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you again in our next video.
Superplayers.
you ever wondered why Xbox controllers still use disposable batteries? It's amazing how Xbox has the most powerful console in the world with one of the best controllers in the industry, and yet they still insist on using disposable batteries. But have you ever wondered why Xbox does that? Get ready, because today we are going to explain to you why Xbox is still using disposable batteries.
Superplayers.
Both PS4 and PS5 use rechargeable batteries. In fact, even the old PS3 used rechargeable batteries. The Nintendo Switch uses rechargeable batteries, and even the previous console, the Wii U, also used rechargeable batteries. So why does Xbox insist on using single-use batteries, even at the cost of harming the environment? Let's look at it more objectively to see both sides of the coin. Remember, nothing is so good that it doesn't have something bad, and nothing is so bad that it doesn't have something good. Based on this then, let's take a look at the good and bad of having rechargeable batteries and the good and bad of having disposable batteries. The first thing is to see where the need to have batteries in the controllers comes from, because if you remember, consoles like the NES or the Super Nintendo did not have them. Obviously, this need arose when the consoles began to bring wireless controllers by default. So really not that long ago. We're talking around the Wii, Xbox 360, and PS3 era, better known as the 7th generation of consoles. More recently, the PS4 controller also had a rechargeable battery. The main advantage of this controller having a rechargeable battery is that, obviously, when it is discharged, you can recharge it by plugging it in using a USB cable. Of course, this was much more practical, and it is more friendly to the environment and even with your wallet, since you don't have to buy disposable batteries. However, they also have their downside. This battery only lasts around 4 to 8 hours with a full charge while it's brand new, which means that, depending on how much you play with it, you will have to be charging the controller daily or interdaily at least. This is because that battery is only 1000 mAh, which is very small compared to the 2000 or 3000 mAh of good quality AAA batteries. In addition, the PS4 controller is famous for high power consumption because of the LED light that they put on the back, and that basically only serves to play in VR. You can turn down the intensity to save battery life, remove vibration, and other tricks, but in the end, the PS4 controller has a very low capacity battery. The PS5 DualSense is not much better either. Yes, the battery is bigger, but with the built-in microphones, speakers, adaptive triggers, lighting, and all of that other stuff, the power consumption is higher too, so battery life is just not that great, and you'll find yourself charging your controller constantly, both using the included USB-C cable or buying a DualSense charging station. But that is not the worst of all. The worst thing is that this battery, like all batteries, such as the one in your cell phone or laptop, degrades over time, and each day it holds less and less charge. And that's not even all of it. This battery is built into the controller, so in case it gets damaged or degraded so much that it's practically useless, you're gonna have to repair your controller by doing a disassembly and swapping out the battery for a new one, or just buy a new controller. Now the other side of the coin, the Xbox controller. And in this case, we're talking about the Xbox 360 as well as the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and S controllers. These controllers use disposable batteries, specifically AA batteries, that as soon as they are discharged, you have to throw them away, and of course buy new batteries. The good thing is that the batteries in an Xbox controller, being always new, last more than 30 hours, which, spread over short gaming sessions, can easily last you 15 days or a month, or even more, depending on your gaming habits. And of course, you can obviously take the old ones out and replace them with new ones easily. This is very important, because in this way, the battery is separated from the controller, so if the battery is damaged, you only need to remove the battery cover, replace it, and the controller will continue to work perfectly. There is also another advantage. You don't have to wait for your controller to recharge. Even though it's worth mentioning that both the Xbox and PlayStation controllers allow you to play without batteries as long as you have the controller plugged in. But if you want to play wirelessly exclusively, then yes, you're going to have to wait for the batteries to charge, and in that situation, disposable batteries are better, because you just put them in and you can play wirelessly instantly. In addition, if you sit far from the TV, for example on a sofa in the living room, the typical cable you'll use to charge the controller is so short that it will not allow you to play while charging. Unless, of course, you have a really long cable. It's also worth mentioning that Duracell and Xbox do indeed have a deal in place. Most people have speculated that this is the sole reason Xbox still uses batteries. But it has more to do with the fact that Duracell is the supplier of all the batteries Xbox controllers have when you buy them, not the reason why Xbox has batteries. By the way, we can't let this video go by without giving the Wii U and Nintendo Switch Pro controllers an honorable mention. These controllers you see here, when fully charged, lets you play from 40 to 80 hours on a single charge. Here in the office, they last so long without charging that it is common that we lose their respective charging cables constantly. Simply put, they have been the best controller batteries we have tested so far. Now, let's get back to Xbox. We're pretty sure that there is a hybrid scenario that is extremely convenient for almost any other controller that uses batteries. And it's basically having a controller that uses disposable batteries and putting rechargeable batteries in it. This is the best of both worlds, because you don't have to go around buying batteries, and if the battery degrades or gets damaged, you just buy another one, and you don't have to buy another controller, which is much more expensive. In fact, you can buy 4 rechargeable batteries with a charger for less than $10 on Amazon, and so you always have 2 batteries charging and 2 in your controller. This scenario is much better than having a rechargeable battery like the one in the PS4 and PS5 controllers. And things actually get much better if you just invest a few more bucks and buy even better quality rechargeable batteries like the famous Eneloops. But that's not all. There is one last scenario that for us is the best of them all, and it is, in fact, the one we use. Having a controller that uses disposable batteries and buying a charging dock with rechargeable batteries. Currently, we have been doing it this way for several years, and we are convinced that this is the most cost-effective, the most aesthetically pleasing, and the most practical option. In our case, we have been using Nyko charging docks that include batteries for all of our consoles. They are not expensive, and yet they are extremely practical. For Xbox, they offer a rechargeable battery with a special cover which allows you to put the controller in the dock and charge it automatically, and even show you a light to indicate when it's fully charged. This is 1,000 times better than charging the controller with a cable, or charging the batteries with a battery charger. In fact, we already charge all of the controllers unconsciously this way, since that's the place we put them when we're done gaming so that they're always charged. And of course, there are other options like the official charge and play kit that let you charge your controller while you play. There are other brands with similar charging products that, from the reviews, seem to work well, but there are also many cheaper, generic, and poor quality brands with bad reviews. So be careful. It's also important to mention that Microsoft has already officially commented on the battery situation and why they decide to always go with disposable batteries. Here's what Xbox's Jason Rowland tells us about it. The bottom line is that when we actually talk to gamers, opinions are very polarized, and there's a very strong part that really wants AA batteries. So giving them the flexibility is a way to satisfy both groups of people. See, if Xbox went for a rechargeable battery, it would leave aside half of the gamers who, according to their own metrics, prefer this type of solution. Actually, when this news broke on Reddit, it was filled with hundreds and hundreds of comments supporting this decision. So, yeah, Xbox is right. Making the controllers use replaceable, disposable batteries allows gamers to have much more flexibility and much more options. And that is precisely the reason why the Xbox controllers have disposable batteries.
Superplayers.
New consoles, new misinformation, and of course, new myths. It's just so hard to know the truth about something if you can't actually put your hands on it. And with the low stock of gaming consoles, that's a situation that most people fit in. Even if you have one, the internet is filled with so many lies that it is so hard to trust anything other people say. But don't worry, because today, we'll talk about the 18 most common myths and misconceptions that people have about the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S.
Superplayers.
Myth number 1. You no longer need to pay for Xbox Live Gold to play online. This is not true. You still need to pay a subscription to play online games on Xbox consoles. However, not a long time ago, Microsoft made an exception on free-to-play games like Fortnite, Apex, Modern Warfare's Warzone, and of course Halo Infinite, to name a few. That means free-to-play games are now actually free to play on Xbox, like they have always been on PlayStation and Switch. But keep in mind that games that are not free to play do require a subscription to play online. Myth number 2. Xbox always requires an internet connection. Well, more or less. When you buy a new Xbox, you have to connect it to the internet at least once to synchronize with Microsoft servers and to download updates. That process is in fact mandatory before you use your console. That said, once you do that, you can use your console offline without any problem. Myth number 3. The Xbox S Series is not a next-gen console. This is absolutely false. Let's just say that many people are confused because this console was not designed for 4K gaming. This console was designed for 1080p or 1440p TVs and monitors, which is still more common than 4K. However, almost all the technology that the Xbox Series X has, the Series S has too. That means that storage is just as fast. All the same GameWorks and features like Quick Resume, which allow you to continue a game no matter where you left it, no matter if you turn off your console, works the same on Series S. Also, the S Series can run games at 120 frames per second. So yeah, this little guy is definitely a next-gen console. Myth number 4. You can't connect an old external hard disk to the new Xbox. This is also false. You can indeed connect a hard drive on the new Xbox consoles. The storage on this generation is far faster than previous consoles, mainly because they don't use mechanical hard drives anymore. Even old SSD drives are considered slow by today's standards. However, if you connect an external storage to your new Xbox, you will be able to install and play games from older generations like Xbox One, Xbox 360, or the original Xbox. Also, although you can't install games from this generation on the external hard drive, you can still use it as a backup device. This comes in handy when you download a new game, finish it, and don't intend to play it immediately again. You can store it on the hard drive as a backup. That way, if you need to play it again in the future, you just have to install from the slow hard drive to the fast internal storage without needing to download the game again. Myth number 5. All Xbox games from past generations will work on the new Xbox. This is actually false, because if we go into specifics, not all games are retro-compatible. That being said, the new Xbox consoles are known for having the best backwards compatibility in the industry, and the vast majority of important old games do work on the new Xbox, and in some cases with free improved graphics and frame rate. You can Google the official list of games if you want to confirm if the old games you want to play will work on your new console, but most probably will. Myth number 7. Xbox is less powerful than the PlayStation 5. That's actually not true either. Yes, the smaller and less expensive Series S is not more powerful than a PS5, but the Series X is. We've seen that, for multi-platform titles, games on Xbox Series X tend to have better frame rate, and the resolution is always better on Series X as well. So yes, the Series X is more powerful than the PS5, and it shows. Myth number 8. Xbox is slower loading games than the PlayStation 5. Yeah, we know. You heard this from time to time because Sony has talked so much about their proprietary storage that is supposedly much faster than Xbox, and yet in practice, we haven't seen much of a true advantage. So far, what we've seen in multi-platform games is that they load at about the same speed, or in some cases, PlayStation 5 is a few seconds faster. Obviously, we have to see if Sony's exclusives will eventually really make a difference in this aspect. But for now, it's basically the same thing, and there is no clear winner here. Myth number 9. The storage on the Xbox Series S series is too small. Yes, it's small, but it's manageable. This console has about 512 gigabytes of storage, which is not much, but in reality is even less than that because the operating system also consumes some of that storage space. That said, games that exceed 100 gigabytes really are the exception to the rule. For the most part, games can take around 15 GB, 20 GB, 30 GB, and so on. So you may have from 5 to 10 games depending on the size without too much trouble. Myth number 10. The Xbox Series X burns itself. No. That's a lie. When the Xbox Series X launched, a video showing what looked like an Xbox blowing smoke went viral. However, upon further inspection, it was just some random kid blowing smoke from a vape into the console. Xbox even wrote a tweet asking people to not do this because, vapor contains water and electronics don't mix very well. So yeah, this is also a myth. Myth number 11. The new Xbox controller is the same Xbox One controller. Although the new Xbox controller isn't as revolutionary as the DualSense controller, it is not the same as an Xbox One controller. And yeah, we know, at first glance they look pretty much the same. But if you hold it on your hands side by side, you'll feel the added texture on the back, new triggers that have more grip, the bumpers feel better, the crosspad is great, and now we have a share button like PlayStation and Nintendo Switch always had. Yes, they look familiar, but they feel different. Myth number 12. You need a 4K TV if you buy a new Xbox. This is also absolutely false, and is one of the things we hear the most. Many people think that if the console supports 4K, they need a 4K TV, and that's not true. If you have a 1080p TV, you can perfectly play your Xbox Series X and Series S, even your PlayStation 5. Of course, a 4K TV will make everything look better, but these consoles do work on HD displays without a problem. Myth number 13. The Xbox Series X console is too big. Well, it's not so much that it's big, it's more that it has an unconventional shape, like a small fat tower, but it's not really that big, even more so if you compare it to the enormous building called the PlayStation 5. Myth number 14. The Xbox Series S series is too small. Yes, the S series is very small. In fact, I think a lot of people who haven't seen it personally can't imagine how small it is. It's super small, and we're not talking like PS4 Slim small, we're talking more like Nintendo Wii small. Just look at it side by side to get an idea of how tiny it is. Myth number 15. I can build a better gaming PC for the same price of an Xbox. No, you can't. We have seen several examples of top tech YouTubers trying to achieve the performance of an Xbox console in computers that cost the same or even more, and they just couldn't do it. And that was before the pandemic, the GPU stock shortage, and computer parts pricing surge. So yeah, good luck trying to get Xbox performance on a custom-built computer for the same price. Myth number 16. Any HDMI cable will work on the new Xbox. Well, yes, in most cases, any HDMI cable will work. The cable that you've always used will work. However, If at some point they release a new game that runs at 4K and 120 frames per second, and you have a 4K TV that supports 120 frames per second, which are very expensive and almost non-existent, then yes, you will need a cable known as Ultra High Speed HDMI, or just HDMI 2.1 that only works on the Xbox Series X. But for the time being, that's very unlikely. Myth number 17. The Xbox Series X can float a ping pong ball. No. Myth number 18. The Xbox Series X can only be placed in a vertical position. That is also false. These consoles can be put horizontally, so this is a myth. You can place both the Series X and the Series S in the horizontal position. Anyway, these were the most common myths about the new Xbox consoles. Hope you've learned something new about them, and we'll see you again soon in our next video.
Superplayers.